U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is on a mission to China. He's trying to prevent leaders in North Korea from following through on their threats to launch a missile. He'll soon meet Chinese government leaders and ask them to persuade the North Koreans to show restraint.
Farewell, South Korea. Hello, China. Secretary of State John Kerry has begun his second leg of his four-day trip to Asia. On the top of his agenda, the threats of nuclear war coming from North Korea. The trip to China is essential, for it has been North Korea's main trade and aid ally since the Cold War.
China is North Korea's only ally, with real economic leverage. So pressure then to use that relationship to stop North Korea's threats becoming anything more dangerous. When it comes to controlling leader Kim Jong-un, John Kerry has already made it clear he believes China could be key. North Korea has already moved 2 missiles to the east coast, putting South Korea on alert. These pictures of a long-range rocket launch show North Korea could be getting closer to its goal of being able to launch nuclear devices on long-range missiles. Although some analysts say these would be unreliable, it could still extend their range of potential targets.
The broad view is still that there will not be a war between the Koreas, but with every new threat of attack from the north, policymakers become more worried. According to an assessment from the US Defense Intelligence Agency, accidentally made public, North Korea may now have some capability to deliver a nuclear warhead via long-range missile.
However, the reliability will be low.
Yet the South Korean military isn't convinced.
There's doubt whether they're at the stage that they can reduce the weight and militarize a device to mount on a missile.
China's concerns about the behavior of its ally and neighbor remain.
Staring into hostile territory, tourists visiting the demilitarized zone dividing the two Koreas were joined by South Korean spies who spent time in the north. They and modern military experts alike are in the dark as to the reality behind the stark nuclear threat still emanating from Pyongyang. While American diplomacy moves this weekend from Seoul to Beijing and Tokyo, these men, some of whom knew the Korean War, are concerned. It's more serious than in the past. At that time, a reasonable man was ruling North Korea, but North Korean leadership is not reasonable nowadays, so we're more worried. The US Secretary of State is expected to put more pressure on China to work harder to tame its belligerent neighbor. Before leaving South Korea, he promised that Washington would defend its allies in the region if necessary.
Neither the United States, nor the Republic of Korea, nor the international community, we are all united in the fact that North Korea will not be accepted as a nuclear power. The rhetoric that we're hearing from North Korea is simply unacceptable by any standard. And I am here to make it clear today on behalf of President Obama and the citizens of the United States and our bilateral security agreement that the United States will, if needed, defend our allies and defend ourselves.
Kerry did hold open the possibility of talks with North Korea, but only if it takes serious steps to abandon its nuclear program. Japan is ordering planes flying within 30 kilometers of Okinawa to notify the U.S. military, the move in response to North Korea's threats to launch a missile across the Sea of Japan. The North's Musodan missile could reach targets in Japan, South Korea, even Guam. The White House is downplaying reports that Pyongyang could arm the missile with a nuclear device.
Meanwhile, North Korea has denied involvement in a cyber attack on South Korean broadcasters and banks. Seoul says the North is responsible for knocking out nearly 50,000 computers and servers on March the 20th. The General Staff of the North Korean Army said on Saturday it's not responsible for the attack.